Hello everybody on Twitch and on YouTube. Your eyes are not deceiving you. This is another tier list. This is a tier list that I'm doing due to a request from one of our commenters that was curious of the tier list that we released over Christmas in 2021. They were based around what we perceived their power levels to be. But this one they asked, how would you rate them if you were comparing, like, say, for example, how much you enjoyed their flavor or their look or their story? So this is like a love tier list. This is a flavor tier list. This ain't a strength tier list. This is what I think of them and how much I like the investigators as just the investigators. Game mechanics aside. So there's going to be stuff like, obviously, like you could be like Ashcan Pete, Duke's a game mechanic, but Duke's also a dog. Duke's also a dog, and we love dogs here. So, let's buckle up, let's dive in, and we are going to do my personal rankings for what I like, how I like the characters of flavor tier list. As always with these tier lists, I like to start with the S tiers. And I'm going to do it. They said it couldn't be done. Jim Culver, S tier, baby. I think I'm just going to, ban this bot that just spoke in my chat. First off, how dare you? And Jim Culver, Mike removed the ban because I also banned them. We banned them and unbanned them at the same time. Jim Culver, S tier. I like Jim Culver's story. So one thing you're going to find with this tier list is I really like storylines where a character is put into a situation that immediately slowly starts to get over their, like, put them in too deep. So Jim Culver has this trumpet. He played it at a funeral. The lady started, the dead lady started dancing, and then slowly since then the mythos has been unraveling around him. Jim Culver as a functioning investigator is pretty bad. But as a flavor, I love me some Jim Culver. Okay. The parallel ones, I'm just going to put down in the NAs because we have them already. They exist in two spaces. So they don't get to be on the list twice. All right. So this one should be quicker than the other tier list because I don't think I really need to speak endlessly about some of these. We're not defending them in terms of their function as their gameplay. Do I have any other noticeable S tiers that I can just see right off the bat? This is very embarrassing. I don't even remember who I put in my tier list video. I need to see this. We need to check this before we get in too deep. Because it's going to be so embarrassing if my favorite aren't on there. So I think I like Marie. I like Joe. Joe's an S tier investigator for sure. We had to do 5, I think, for that list. Norman Withers, S tier, for sure. Yeah, he was another one on my list. What about Parallel Wendy? She's not on this list. This was made before she was even before she was released. Who's my last one? I remember having a harder time. Norman I loved. I know these 4 were here. But who was my 5th? All right, we got to go to the video. This is embarrassing. What do we even call that video? We'll get there, chat. We'll find there. Oh, it was only top 4. Oh, then maybe I nailed it. Let's get this here. Bryn said Vampire Hunter. So that's Bryn, Sefina. Be quiet. There's my Joe. Okay, we got Joe. I got my Marie. There's my Norman Withers. Here's my Norman Withers. There's my Jim. I remembered. So to me, these are my 4 S-tier investigators in this order. I like Jim, as I said before. Norman Withers, the man who goes crazy because he sees things, the stars disappear, spooky times. Also very relevant to some of the short stories I was writing in my Red Hall universe, where there is a constellation that constantly disappears and then reappears because the stars are getting closer to Earth and they're going to evade yada 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 yada. What's the criteria? Just how much I like them. This is the flavor. This is what I enjoy about their stories. This is a flavor tier list. Nothing to do with strength. Joe Diamond? How can you not like a private investigator's story? How can you not like that? That's really sick. So one second, I should grab my investigator book. My investigators, so I can at least read the lore of the investigators I don't know about. Because there's going to be some that I'm going to be like, I don't know. Marie Lambeau, like Jim Culver, I'm a big fan of also as well when investigators have art in their storyline. So like music is obviously a form of art. So having like a magic voice is really interesting to me. And like magic, song magic, the whispers, yada 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 that Marie Lambeau has. Anytime it's centered around art, I dig it. I dig it. I don't like Sefina Rousseau as much as these guys, but her story is admittedly really cool. All right, let's start doing this. Agnes Baker, she's a waitress, but there's got to be more to her story, right? There's got to be more to her story. Agnes Baker may just be an unassuming waitress in this life, but in a previous life, in a time and age undreamed of in a modern world, she's become a powerful witch. She had been a powerful witch. It began when she found a strange artifact, a key of some kind, and a dusty collection of family belongings in her attic. When she touched it, the memories came flooding back, along with one word: Hyperborea. The more she delved into the visions and memories of her former life, the stronger her powers grew, and the more frightened she became. Honestly, B-tier story for me. I can understand that people like witches, and witches are really cool, but I do think that her story overall, I'm kind of just like, not too crazy. It doesn't really work too much for me. It doesn't bring about any excitement. It doesn't bring about any excitement for me. Akachi. I think she's probably A. Let's see if there's anything I'm missing about her, though. Akachi, there you are. All right. As a young girl in Nigeria, Akachi became used to being set apart. Her habits of chattering away at thin air and secluding herself from other children led her village to believe she was mad. Her village, Dibia, was the first to see her true potential. He believed Akachi was marked by the spirits of greatness, and he taught her how to commune with them to her advantage. Under his tutelage, Akachi grew into a wise young leader, respected not just in her village, but in every community she aided. Now she meets her destiny head-on, seeking out unnatural troubles that only her knowledge can stop. I think Agnes is cooler than Akachi. I think they're pretty close to each other, but I think just overall, Akachi's lore, her look is great. Like, her look and her design, both her spirit speaker art and her angered spirits, her personals, are some of the, like, her angered spirit art is incredible. So, like, if I have to go with beyond lore and also, like, design, I do think I like Akachi a bit more than Agnes. I do. Amanda Sharp, more like Amanda Fart, am I right? I have no interest in Amanda's story. I think she's pretty below average. She is close to D tier IMO. Yeah, she's a deep one, which is kind of cool, but there's not much about Amanda that excites me. Love playing her, one of my favorite characters in the game, but her, like, just look at that. This is like, it's like, no thank you. Doesn't interest me like everyone else does so far. Ashcan Pete, the drifter with the dog, solid A tier. Solid A tier. Probably like Akachi more than I like Ashcan Pete. But, you know, Duke's cute. I like the story that we have. The jokes around Ashcan Pete are really good. The idea of the drifter going around on trains who has all the stories in there, I think is really cool. And Ashcan, I think, he's just a good investigator. I think A is solid for him. Bob Jenkins, the traveling salesman who sees everything and like discovers more, yada, yada, yada. I think he's probably A+. I like the idea behind Bob. Just this guy who's like a salesman who starts seeing weird junk and then he starts like, you know, fighting against that weird junk. Let's see if there's anything else that is particularly relevant on his card here. According to Bob, the secret to success as a salesman is persistence. People just need to be told what it is that they want, repeatedly. Recently, Bob came into possession of a handful of cursed golden coins, and he hopes the same persistence he so famously advocates will help him uncover their origin and purpose. If he plays his cards right, maybe this will be his big score. Maybe finally he'll be able to retire and buy that boat he's had his eye on and spend the rest of his days fishing in tropical paradise. Or maybe Bob will finally come to see that all that glitters is not gold. I'll be real. That drops me down a bunch. His stuff's cool, but just like knowing he's just like, he wants to sell. Like, yeah, that is cool. Like, he is still good. He's like, still just like, A is still a very good rating, but like, to me, it's not A+. That did bring him down for me. Are we ranking investigators based on who's too cool for school? We're ranking them based on like how I like them flavorfully. Calvin Wright, I think he's an A+. Calvin Wright is a cool story for an investigator. Really cool. I love his look. His design is really nice, like his art. And his backstory is absolutely incredible. His personal weakness has one of my favorite arts in the game beyond, besides just after Jim Culver's personal weakness. There is a lot to like about Calvin flavorfully. Great investigator. Carolyn Fern, she's good. She's good. I think she's an A tier. I think I like her. I think I like Ashcan more than Bob, and I think I like Carolyn more than Bob now, too. The Psychologist, nice classic, tropey for this kind of genre. And then like how her weakness is rational thought, so she is trying to push away the things that she sees because she cannot fathom them to be true. Carolyn Fern, really cool. Really cool. Daisy Walker. F yeah, man. Give me the cursed book. Give me the cursed book. This is a classic trope. I just love this idea that Daisy Walker finds the book, and this book is a bad book. And also just like in this trope, the librarian is just such a cool kind of thing, right? Like they have the occult knowledge. Henry Armitage, right? Like it's all like this, the Miskatonic University. They keep all the books there. Classic trope starter for this, and I think it resonates really well for me. Daniella. All right, I need to read a bit about her backstory. She's relatively new in the Arkham files, so she's the one I have like the least history with. She's not even in here, so let's pull up her Arkham DB card, shall we? Danielle always figured she had a good life. She had a loving, boisterous family. She had a steady job and used her brains in her hands, not her big brains. She had enough money to spend on fast cars, pretty girls, and her motorcycle Gabriel. Then her brother Ramon got caught up in some trouble. Her mother warned her to be careful, that darkness lay ahead. Daniela set a glass of water behind the door for her mother's sakes to catch evil spirits, just as she'd been taught as a child. When Daniela awoke to find it shattered, she was determined to figure out what happened and fixed it, just like she always did. That's cool. That's cool. I love Daniela's vibe. I like the character that will beat the frick out of you, and she's huge. She's huge, right? Like, what is it? Get Behind Me? She's like a warrior. She's a warrior. I also like the, obviously the folklore aspect of it with the culture and like the glass of water behind the door to catch evil spirits. I think she is an A tier for me. I like her a bit more than Agnes. I just like the vibe of her. She's just like ready to just like, oh yeah, and like you're right, Astute Nunspar. She needs no firearms because she already has some huge guns. I like her. I didn't really like her in Eldritch, but I really like her in the card game. I think she's really cool. Dexter Drake, how can you say no to a magician? How can you say no to a magician? Right? Like, is there anything else I need to say? How do you say no to a magician? Dude's cool. Dude's freaking cool. Diana, another classic character trope here. I think I like her a bit more than Daisy for the storyline, but she does not compete with Dexter. I do think she is an A+ investigator in terms of her lore and story. Really cool character. There's always, I think I like the joke where she's the redeemed cultist. Is she actually? Is she actually, though? Right, that's the question. That's what we always say. I never trust Diana. Yeah, no, great character, great story. Shame about her investigator card, though. Am I right, chat? Father Mateo, B tier. Doesn't really interest me that much. I like, excuse me. You know, and honestly, while we're here, I think Sister Mary also belongs in this area. The priest and nun, the religious thing is cool, but it doesn't really do anything for me. I like the more kind of, as I can tell right now, arts are big. Boom, boom, boom. Librarian also counts, right? Justin woke up and chose violence. Yeah, I did. But the aesthetic doesn't really work for me. It doesn't really interest me that much. Man, these 8 are really good. All right. Finn Edwards, the bootlegger. I like him. But I think he's only top of B tier. I think Finn's really cool. But he's missing that little bit of juice that I think makes him really interesting to me. He's cool. I like him. His design is neat. But he's just Finn Edwards, you know? He's just Finn the bootlegger. He's not, he's the non-Indiana Jones Indiana Jones. Right to the tippity top. I love Grandma. I think I like her more than Dexter, too. Do I like her more than Calvin? I think she's probably realistically, yeah, she's probably here. Gloria got a fantastic update with this art. This is like the first time Gloria didn't look bad. I don't even remember the Eldritch art. Let me see if I can find it. Because this art's going to be what's on our actual card. Yeah. So this is like the other Gloria. It's still fine, but like, this is fantastic art. And it tells such a story in this one. Obviously, you can still see she still has the green and the red hat, but like, it's particularly juicy on this one. I think she's really cool. I've always kind of like liked her, but I could never really like attach myself to her. But in Arkham Horror, the card game, I'm a big Grandma stan. I love Grandma, and I will fight for her. I will simp for her. I don't care. I'm here, and I'll make love to Grandma. Harvey Walters! Nah. Harvey Walters can sit at the bottom. I don't think he's that cool. I think he's probably one of like to me, one of the most boring characters and one of the ones I'll forget about the most. He's just like some professor, right? He's just some dude. Let's read his card and see if he changes anything about me. Professor Walters began as a devotee of the archaic and obscure, but over the years he discovered that his knowledge of ancient languages, profane relics, and strange rituals is vital to addressing dangers in modern day. He is both an avid collector of prehistoric ephemera and a font of knowledge regarding the bizarre primordial religions that worship nightmarish gods eons ago. There is perhaps no sane person alive who knows more about the occult than Harvey Walters. When a supernatural event occurs, Professor Walters brings his considerable resources and experience to bear. So his big thing is he's just a guy. He's just a guy who knows things. That's pretty boring. He does have great facial hair. I will say, Convery, you are right. He does have great facial hair, but that doesn't... He's just some old dude. Not that exciting to me. My first D tier. Jacqueline Fine, the Psychic. She's fine. I think I like her a little bit less than Agnes Baker. A witch is cooler than a psychic. That's just facts. A witch is cooler than a psychic. That's just what we know to be true. It's written in the old book of lore. We know that's how it is. Jenny Barnes. She's just rich. Her missing sister, cool storyline. She's better than Amanda. She's just rich. That's all I get from Jenny. She's kind of just like, she's just there for me. Nothing too exciting for Mrs. Jenny Barnes. Or Miss Jenny Barnes, rather. Yeah, nothing to really say about her. Leo Anderson, the Cursed Expedition Leader. I like him more than Father Mateo and Sister Mary. But overall, I think he's just okay. Do I like him more than Jacqueline? Yes. Do I like him more than the witch? Yes. Do I like him more than Finn Edwards? No. That's where we're going to leave Mr. Leo Anderson. He has a cursed expedition. If you go on his expedition, something bad is going to happen to you unless your name is Mitch Brown because you never enter play. I think it's a cool thing, but I think it doesn't hit these ones. And his design is just a grumpy old man that's also just Indiana Jones light. And we already have Indiana Jones light to his left, who looks a little bit cooler. Finn's sexy, man. He's a hot guy. Lily Chen. This one's tough for me. I think she exists here. To me, like, for some reason, both Jacqueline Fine and Lily Chen sit in the trope, and even Father Mateo and Sister Mary, they sit in a trope that for weird horror doesn't work for me that much. It doesn't resonate with me that much. I'm more like just the people who are like, either directly involved or like in a bad place at the bad time or like desperate or like have like a cool form of magic. And I think this Lily doesn't really work for me that much. Lola Hayes. So here's the thing about Lola. She's cool. It's just such a shame that I myself have had such rough times with her because I really like Lola as a character. And I'm an actor who is like, it's an actor who is like, you know, can always just adapt to the situation, can improvise. Her art is absolutely incredible. Her look is fantastic. She has one of my favorite investigator arts in the game, apart from Gloria, updated Norman Withers, and new Silas. I love that Silas art. But Lola Hayes' art is absolutely beautiful. For her look and her lore, I'm going to read the back of her card, see if there's anything I'm missing about her other than the fact that it's like, she acts! She's an actor! Oh, she performed the King and Yell. That makes sense why she's in that book. Anything about her brought calamity and dread. I'm down. That's cool. Lola? Let's put her somewhere. Let's put her somewhere a bit spicy, shall we? Let's drop her in the A+ tier. I'm going to put her behind Dexter. I like Lola Hayes Flavorfully, I think she's really cool. Some of the best art in the game. Like, there's just so much emotion in this piece. Like, it just feels... I think that's Magali. Yeah. How do you say the last name again? I know it's Denis Villeneuve or something like that. Yeah, I'm probably saying it wrong. But Magali Villeneuve is very, very talented. Beautiful piece of art. Luke Robinson, fucking get hyped. I love me some Luke Robinson. I absolutely love it. Daisy, I'm dropping you down to A tier. I don't think you compete with these guys as this has started to spread out a bit. I love Luke Robinson. I like our jokes by him. I love his look. This dude is just showing up in a bathrobe, smoking fucking marijuana all day. Sounds like a great time, right? The Dreamer in the Dreamlands, really cool aesthetic. I love me some Luke Robinson. Absolutely phenomenal investigator story-wise. Also really fun to play, so that even makes it even better. I love me some Luke. He's an A+, easy. Mandy, she goes down over here. Great design. Great design that's probably realistically enough to put her in like C tier. Like, I love her look. Her art is really good. The character design is like really nice. I love the red hair, the yellow jacket, the little, like, the contrast of the colors work really well for her look. She seems very, like, you could just feel confidence from her in her pictures, except for the ones where she's going, egads, a shocking discovery. But I don't find that much interest in her character, and, like, the lore of it is just, it doesn't intrigue me. Mark Harrigan. Mark Harrigan's really cool. A bit tropey, not in the way that I like for the tropiness. I much prefer the Daisy Walker trope. So I think he's above Ashcan Pete for me. He's probably even above Akachi, but I think he's below Daisy. I do like Mark Harrigan. I think he's a cool character. His art on the home front, or whatever his personal is called. Mark Harrigan, where are you? There you are. Excuse me. Yeah, his art on the home front, really cool. I mean, I can just get it on the screen, can't I? One of my favorite arts in the game. It's just, it bleeds confidence. It bleeds sexiness. The real war has only just begun. This was his art in Arkham Horror 2nd Edition. Fantastic character, cool design, but not enough for me. He's a bit too tropey in a way I don't like to get him an A+. Minh Thi Phan. There's a lot of bias coming through, but I really like Minh Thi Phan. But I mean, that's what the flavor thing is, right? It is just bias. It's just what I think about the character. I like Min. I like her more than Calvin. This is, like, to me, the perfect example of a character, what I was saying earlier about a character being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Every tier list is biased. It's true, but I do like, even though every tier list is biased, that's absolutely true, I do like to be able to back up my reasoning. And this one, like, I mean, I can, but, like, when it comes to, like, a power tier list, I like to try to be as analytical as I can. With Min, I just love her. I love the character. I'm putting her in S tier. That's how much I love her. That's how much I freaking love Min. Demonic Tragedies, welcome to the goddamn table. It's a pleasure to have you. I just love it. She's working for a guy who's reading The King in Yellow, and then he, like, freaking kills himself. Great story. Absolutely incredible hook for a character. And then the flavor of her character just works so well for it, too. Great character. S tier. Boom. Indiana Jones. B. I like it more than the other ones. I like him more than the other Indiana Jones wannabes. Not much more to say about him. He's just Indiana Jones. And Indiana Jones is really cool. But if I want Indiana Jones, I'm just gonna watch Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, my favorite Indiana Jones movie. Nathaniel Cho, cool character, love his look, love his design. I think he's an A tier. His storyline leaves a little bit for me personally, but I think he is such a unique design of a concept that I really like him. I like him a bit more than Mark. He's just really cool. I really like Nathaniel Cho. I like the backstory. I like how his brother's there. His brother's in a wheelchair. I'm like, that's cool. I think he's a great design, and I'm really curious to see what else they do with the new characters they make. I don't know if even I can respect you anymore, even if that was a joke. How can I be joking about the scene where he goes into a fridge and then survives a nuclear explosion? How can you say such peak of cinema isn't the peak of cinema? Patrice Hathaway, cool character. She has music, so that puts her up pretty high for me. Higher than I normally otherwise would. But I do think she is kind of at the bottom of A tier for me. Cool character, though. Let's read about her lore. Let's see if there's anything else that maybe bumps her up a bit. All her life, Patrice has lived for music. The soaring sonatas, the graceful arias, and the booming marches have always been her closest companions, so she's a nerd. But sometimes when she plays, she can sense some alien intelligence at the edge of awareness, something that watches her and waits, something that hungers. The presence has been growing over the last month, and her increasing nervousness is starting to spoil her ability to play the violin. That's not something she can tolerate. After her last concert at the Ward Theater in Arkham, she finally decided to take action. Honestly, that's really cool. That actually probably bumped me up. When she plays music, she feels a dark sensation. Man, that was a huge improvement right there from Patrice, wasn't it? Her look's really cool. Her story, now that I actually have fully know it, also is really cool. I think she lives up here. Preston Fairmont, he's just rich. So let's compare him right to Jenny. What does he have that's better than Jenny? Well, bad deal with his father. Or his father was part of the Silver Twilight Lodge or something like that. Some sort of daddy debts. But that's something that we actually probably put on the character. And I don't think that's actually true to the story. But as far as I'm concerned, it's true to the story. Preston, he can live on the bottom of B tier. I like him a bit more than Mandy. I like him... Mandy? And I like her a bit more than Jenny, too. They fit the same thing. This is a bit more cursed. Missing sister, great hook. Debts to the Twilight Lodge, also a great hook. Rex Murphy, the cursed reporter. He's A tier. I like him more than Bob. I like him more than Carolyn. I like him more than that. I like him more than that. Well, congratulations. You just basically made it to the top of A tier, Rex. Such a classic trope. Cursed reporter. Is it? And there's also the thing where, is it actually a curse or is it alcoholism, right? Like there is that the discussion around his personal weakness, which is like Rex's curse, I think. Where the question is he? There's a lot going on here. There's the fly in the drink. Like, is his curse alcoholism, or is the fact that like he's there's the fly in his drink that's actually the curse? I tend to believe that his curse is a literal curse because most of these are directly related to the mythos, right? Like we're living in that world. This isn't the Babadook where it's a metaphor for grief most of the time. We're playing a pulpy game with shuggoths and ghouls, right? We don't need to add that extra layer. So that's my personal opinion. If you think otherwise, go for it. You do you. Grief. The Babadook, right? It makes it more fun and engaging that way. I thought the art was a doorknob for the longest time. I don't know why. Well, it's because it is a doorknob. This is Rex's doorknob. He has to hold. It's so big, he has to hold it like this to turn it. And apparently his father was one of the bigwigs of the Silver Twilight Lodge. That's cool. Rita Young. All right, I need to go read her story before I put her at the bottom before I put her in the D tier. Clocks do not lie. In the past, people have said hurtful things to Rita. They have threatened her, deemed her inferior, but ever since she started running competitively, Rita's only cared about the clock. The clock says that Rita's faster than the rest, says she is stronger and has trained harder. Now she may have to fight for her life. Someone is after her. That much she's sure of. She has no idea who it is or why they want her, but there are several strange men hanging around her dorm. They plan to make her an example of her, but they will have to catch her, and the clock says she cannot. Honestly, that is like a good hook for a character. This one is, as you can tell, her sleeve's broken. Get back in there, Rita. So Rita has, obviously, with the hoods, there is the whole idea that it's like her. This is actually goes like directly opposite of what I was just saying with Rex, right? Where how there is that pulpy part of it, but Rita's story is obviously rooted in racism in real life, right? Like it's like Lovecraft Country, Lovecraft County. I think it's Lovecraft Country, right? Where it's taking the time and the racism that exists in the time and the racism that existed in Lovecraft's own works and using it to fuel the story for the character. Makes me very curious to see what her Arkham Horror 2nd Edition character says, and I think I actually kind of want to look that up right now. See if we can pull this up. Story so far for Rita. Growing up in the South, Rita has often had to fight discrimination in one form or another. Although her family was poor, she worked hard and received a scholarship to Miskatonic U, where she joined the track and field team. Now she may have to fight for her life. Someone is after her. Last week, her roommate was assaulted while wearing the jacket, and Rita feels asserted as a mistaken identity. Convinced the police, but the sheriff says that his hands are tied. Still, while running away might be the best to avoid this premonition of personal doom hanging over her, it's never been Rita's style. Whether her stalkers are members of the KKK or something more sinister, she's going to face them head on, the same way she's been facing the world her whole life. Okay, so this has been like her character from the beginning. They added a little bit about the running in this one. That also could have been from the other ones. I mean, I do think this has actually convinced me. I think I can put her above the witch. I think she's a cool character with that in mind. Her design, I think, leaves a lot to be desired. I think she could really have gone with like a rehaul for her look, because this art isn't fantastic art. Her I'm done running, still just like obviously like she's, the idea I think is that she's supposed to be in her her track and field team outfit. I just don't think that works. I think it kind of like defeats the seriousness of the character's story, right? The long arm. I think it kind of defeats her design. I think she could be more like a Peter Sylvester, right? Oh my god. I'm losing it. Like Peter Sylvester is like in like some stuff. Like she should be in like a Letterman jacket or something like that, right? Like she should like her being in, for me, in her track and field outfit. I think it looks awkward. It looks like she's wearing like a medical gown, right? Story's really cool though. Roland Banks, how can you go wrong with a Fed? Very easily. I think he's just kind of boring. Peter would rank super high on this list, I feel. Yeah, I mean, I have to like my boyfriend, right? I think he kind of sits above this part here. To me, like, it is very X-Files-y, yes, right? Like, it has like that Mulder aesthetic to it, the Mulder Scully aesthetic. But for some reason, it doesn't work for me. It's too global, where I like my stories more contained within a character, right? As soon as you have this Fed who is sent here by the government, I'm suddenly like, yeah, that's kind of boring. So that's why Roland doesn't really work for me. It could be like he's working on his own. But even then, like, it's just like not... Doesn't work for me. Sorry, Roland. Sefina, she's cool. Art, she painted something. She passed out. Her mind went into the painting. Cool character. Really cool character. She is probably above Akachi for me. Once again, she's related to Art, so that's awesome, right? I love me some Art. But that's kind of like a... Like, painting the counterfeits is also really cool. She has a good story for her that makes her a rogue. But Sefina is always the rogue that's not actually a rogue in my mind. So I always forget that thing when I just look at her. Her design's really cool. I think she's one of the better, newer characters. Obviously, as you can tell by the way I'm voting for her, I think she's just cool. Silas Marsh. Silas Marsh. Cursed by his name, lest he wander into the sea. The deep one look has swallowed him whole. Cool character. Obviously, I love Silas. I've always loved him. He exists in the A tier for me. He is not A+. He misses those small pieces that makes him really cool. And I think he is below Carolyn for me. I think that's where Silas Marsh goes. Great art. I love this art. That is some hardcore Silas art. It's a shame what they did to him here. But he does look kind of cute, doesn't he? He looks kind of like he's on the side of the boat and you're like... He has a little smoking pipe, it looks like. Kind of want to approach him and talk to him, ask him how he's doing. Skids O'Toole. Skids O'Toole. Ex-con, gambler, saving money for his mom's hospital. I think he's top of B tier. The flannel does it for me, yeah. My fiance loves flannel. The shirt is for the first half of the date. Amen. And my fiance loves flannel, so she would love this. I'd be like, who do you like more? This or that? And she'd say, give me this guy. Or I'm like, give me the man with the harpoon fighting the deep one. That's what I want. Skids is cool. I like the mom hospital storyline, but he saw his cellmate spontaneously combust. That's sick, and that's not even the mythos. That's just life, man. People just do that. Happened to my best friend once. He's okay, though. He'll be fine. Stella Clark. I like Stella. I don't like how powerful she is. I think neither Rain nor Snow is a little bit pushed. But I do think in design, they probably, like, obviously, like, it's the rule. You get 20 people playtesting. You put it in the hands of nearly 100 times as many people, and then they'll crack it wide open, right? So I think that is what happened with neither Rain nor Snow and Stella. She's a great character for new players. She's really cool. I like her story. I like the mail carrier, the letter carrier, is a really cool tropey kind of thing that hasn't been explored, and it's really nice to see. She's cool in other games too. I like a lot of that. I think for me, she exists probably just below Silas. Probably just below Silas. I do think Stella's really cool though. Tommy Muldoon, the rookie cop. So Roland's here. Tommy Muldoon is probably, for me, at the top of B tier. I honestly forget that Tommy Muldoon exists a lot of time, but I do like the whole idea of the cop in the mythos. It's smaller scale than the Fed, but it's not as personal as the Private Eye. The Private Eye is like that perfect level of intimacy that I like in these stories, where a step to even a cop, while good, is a bit too far, and that's why a Fed is a step way too far for me. And as you can tell, I like the majority of these characters. There's only these three flavorfully I don't actually like. Tony Morgan, Bounty Hunter, Really cool. A tier. It's a step above rookie cock for me. Tommy Muldoon, the rookie cock, coming soon to Cinemax. Skinemax. The Tony Morgan's cool. A little less resonating for me for Joe Diamond, but I think I like it a little bit more than Tommy Muldoon because it is just that little bit more personalness that a cop doesn't have in their story. Is it hot in here? Nah, it's Stone Cold Stumpface. This is us at the start of this stream. This is us when the stream's over. Thought this was a family show? It is. Tommy Muldoon, the rookie cock, is for all ages. Trish, spy. Cool. 2022 highlight reels coming in nicely. I had to permit that because apparently coming is not allowed here. Anyways, we should focus back up. Some people on YouTube don't like when we're gross. Alright. Man, there's one of my favorite jokes from one of our recent playthroughs of Edge of the Earth when Bryn had the certain weakness that, you know, when it's cold, bad things happen to your body. And Travis was like, oh, it looks like you got some ice milk on your foot. Do you want me to help you lick it off? Was the funniest thing in the goddamn world. Travis sometimes gets weird like I am weird, but it always throws me for a loop when Travis gets to my level of weirdness. It makes me laugh. Trish is cool. I think I like her a bit more than Roland, but they still kind of fit in that trope where I'm not... Like the Men in Black government agencies, even if it's a spy, doesn't really work for me. It's not that interesting to me. So, like, she's cool. I like Trish, but it fits in this thing where it's too global, where I prefer my characters to be more intimate. Ursula Downs. All right, so we're going to put her near the other Indiana Jones. And I think I like Ursula more than Monterey Jack. She has a great look. Is that Magali Villeneuve again? Yep, you can just tell by her style. Gorgeous piece of art. Ursula's really cool. I think she's just neat. Her Call the Unknown, cool, kind of like compelling kind of storyline that it brings. And I think she is my favorite of the Indiana Jones wannabes. She's really cool. I like Ursula a lot. I think I even like her more than Skids and Tommy as well. She can be my top of B tier. Wendy Adams. Chad, I'm so sorry about this. I don't like Wendy. I don't think I don't like her enough to put her in the D tier. That might honestly just be Harvey Walters. But it doesn't really work for me to have this urchin, this child, in the storylines. It makes it feel less like I'm reading a horror story, a weird horror story. And now suddenly when she starts hitting a ghoul or evading a ghoul, running away from them, I suddenly feel like I'm playing The Goonies. Or Stranger Things set in the 1930s, right? It's one of those things where it just doesn't work for me. It doesn't. I'm sorry, Wendy. Like, you're great, you're very powerful, and like you are fun to play, but flavorfully, I've never been a fan of Wendy Adams. Will Yorick, great character, A+. I love me some Will Yorick. He's a failed actor. That's why he's a bit below Lola. His design is really cool. His look is really cool. He looks like Bryn when Bryn had a beard, which I know a lot of people on YouTube loved. Now at this point, when I see Bryn with a beard in the old videos, I'm like, what the frick is going on here? So it's nice to have this memory of what Bryn used to look like before I thought it was weird. Now I love Bryn with his mustache. He looks freaking gangster, yo. It's a cool character. I love the story. I love his look. I love his vibe. I love everything about Will Yorick. Really cool character. Not as cool as Diana for me, but still very cool. Winifred! Cool design. But I think she's just over here in the B tier. Honestly, she's below... She's like here. She exists in like above the tropes that don't work for me. But I think I can still admit are cool. But she's like, it's a cool look. Really awesome look for her. I want to see who her artist is. Alexander Karks. Cool. Yeah, no, her look is really cool. Her design is really neat. I like her in all of her pictures. I think she looks really cool. But it doesn't really, I mean, even the name Aviatrix is like such a cool tagline. Aviatrix. But it just doesn't get there for me yet. It's a bit too not the tropes I like, which you can kind of tell from looking at the stuff I like. And Zoe, cool character. Really cool character. I think I like her more than Mark and Nathaniel Cho. The whole God's mission. This is like an R-rated version of Sister Mary and Father Mateo, right? Like, these guys are like, God is good, so let's spread love. And she's like, God is good, let's break everybody's fucking backs, right? Like, isn't that just so much more metal? Her art is incredible. Is that Magali as well? Let's find out. It looks like it. It is. Man, she is such a talented artist. Anyway, art is incredible, look is incredible, design is incredible. A lot about Zoe is really cool. And then she just has the name The Chef for her tagline. And you're like, what the frick is she cooking? Oh, she's cooking God's vengeance in a pot, and it's going to get thrown right at your face. Cool character. I like some Zoe. All right. So here is my flavor tier list. You can definitely see where what I like, what I don't like, etc., etc. So we'll just start at S, A+, and A. Going down into B, C, and D. Sorry, Trish. Covering your up. Poor Harvey Walters. Poor Harvey. Cool. Well, that was really fun. I had a good time. Hopefully this is what you wanted, YouTube. Hopefully this interests you. If you liked it, please let me know in the comments. Thank you to everyone who hung out with me in the video. I want to do a quick thank you to our patrons for supporting the channel. You guys all rock. If you want to support the channel, go to our Patreon page down in the video description. Come on, join. $3 a month, American for the lowest amount, and you get a bunch of cool stuff in the process. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, and as always, GG's.